Halo Bang Denny Prasuta, baik kabarnya? Gimana TFT-nya? Apakah baik juga? Kayaknya gelap ya. Tidak baik. Oke, ntar cahayanya aku pindahin dulu coba. Kalau gini sih bagusnya di atas sih, tapi udah nggak bisa, udah nggak ada itunya. Aku udah berapa hari ya udah nggak main aku ini berarti. Lagi ada turnamen juga ya, golden sepatu lakap yang di email ternyata, tapi aku belum ngecek sama sekali sih. Mungkin sambil nonton kali ya, sambil menunggu match bisa kali kan, gaskan aja nggak sih sambil menunggu match. Bang makan bang, halo bang Dapa, gimana kabarnya? Nah, sambil menonton ini bentar ya.
For example, looking at double though, still very much on a win streak spot with Hardsteel. I do like Slam and Lansante. He's actually surprisingly a good unit at just making sure you lose less HP because he kind of kills with his ult, with his ability, his Clapio ability that we saw the casters talking about yesterday.
Yeah, like he goes really hard. Like it actually is kind of impressive. Like, just, like how hard this unit hits as a headliner.
Double.
That was like a huge shift in
Ini
how the game
EMEA
was
ya,
played, and like how the view of
bukan
the
yang
Sympannseyt
NA ya.
was. Like one of the first patches where he got a huge buff coming in, right? And also see that's an
Kalau NA kan adanya
it's no
Hardsteel ya.
surprise that this is a very strong tempo opener.
And for most viewers who might be thinking, you know, he's playing econ traits. Econ traits historically in TFT have wanted to lose and
Lu
lose
green screen
hard
pakai
and
apa?
lose
Ini
heavily
pakai
all
itu.
throughout the first stage of the game.
Jadi kalau kalian
So that had this
pakai
massive
VGA
big spike in
Nvidia
big
itu
cash
jadi
out. For
ada
Hardsteel, it's a tiny
aplikasinya,
bit
jadi nggak
different.
usah
You
pakai
really
green
don't
screen gitu.
want to lose stage 2 because the HP you're
Enaknya
losing in the process
Nvidia
is
sih
not worth the
gitu.
rewards you're getting because of the scaling nature of the trait. You want to ideally start
Jadi
losing
bisa
somewhere in the
menghemat.
middle of stage 3, in stage 4. That's where you get these really massive rewards for those losses. So Double 61, despite it looking a bit odd with the win streak there, is actually in this incredibly good spot. And Hardsteel just all around. His shop seems to be bugged with how many units he's getting.
He's just a Hardsteel whisperer right now, right? And also, interesting thing here is the fact that he's holding on to a Riven on the bench with the Hand of Justice already slammed here. Do you think there's ever a world where he's like at some point decides to go into something like the Riven reroll? Do you think he's holding on to a potential Yone reroll line?
If it's not costing you gold,
Pakai
why
ini
not
ya,
keep the option
pakai
open? If you look at the stats, you've seen how insane Riven looks in this
Bisu
current
ya.
meta in both the Stream Invitational and
Si
the GSCs.
Serapin ya.
It's been absurd how high her stats have been in terms of win rate.
Anjir, 5 menit
And you want to
guys,
be winning a
tumben
lot in day
banget loh.
3. This is not like day 1 and 2. If you have maybe the
Fan match-nya
aspiration
5
and the
menit.
ambition that a player like Double 61 has,
Ya,
you're
fan
looking
match-nya
at
4
maybe your
menit,
first ever
emas
GSC
terakhir.
win.
Yeah, and it is kind of crazy when we talk about Dull, the fact that he's one of the players that doesn't have a GSC win under his belt, right? Generally speaking, is one of the player that tends to kind of come online once we come around the championship season, where he's always in and around
Pas
the
udah menurun guys,
lobby
player
or making it to a
di
championship. Right?
Indo.
He has 3 championship appearances under his belt, and that's a ridiculous
Oh, udah
number.
berlangsung tapi.
Sometimes in GSC, his results have been a little bit lacking.
Would you say, Wida, that his mastery of other Riot titles has anything to do with his GSC.
I mean, he recently did get challenger League of Legends.
Astaga. Oh,
That's
dong
why I was
langsung
bringing it up.
lagi.
He's someone that, you know, uses his time in unique ways when it comes to TFT. He's so good he almost knows he's already going to be qualified for EMEA finals through ladder. So he
Kita
tries to master other
lihat ini
games in
dulu.
the process.
Nah,
I
kalau
mean,
udah
with the way
kayak
Keiko
gini,
has been playing in the LEC, maybe he
jadinya
just
nggak
maybe
gagal
he's the
gitu.
first better
Nggak
crossover the other way
reconnect
around, you know?
kan.
Like that would be a big story in of itself. But Ark here, another player, right, that we have seen really take make massive improvements, make massive strides as a player over the past year or so. Had some pretty solid results.
Ini orangnya
over the
nggak ada yang aku
course
tahu
of the
sih.
regional finals was
Paling
tied with
double
Volta
kayaknya.
to make it to the championship, but also obviously Volta had the ridiculous first couple of days, so he lost that tiebreaker.
Yep, Og finished 5th in that runner-up position to find the world's direct qualification for EMEA as a region in Runeterra Reforged.
Oh, udah
Said,
mulai.
Og is a player that I compared very closely to Wet Jungler, up until Wet Jungler had now the international.
Ininya kita hilangin dulu. Kita main. Plus contested. Udah sekarang salah multi talented. Oh no, jangan multi talented. Kepilih kah multi talented? Aduh, kepilih guys. Baru main langsung dikasih multi talented ya. Baru aja balik lagi main. Multi talented beraksi dong. Tapi boleh sih kalau ini. Sementara sih tidak menolak. Kalau dikasih ya, dikasih guys ya. Tapi hairstyle-nya bisa hidup nggak deh? Bisa sih nggak hidup sih. Nyebelinnya tuh kalau nggak hidup sih. Oke, bisa bikin gorgol dulu paling. Sekarang semua itemnya dapetnya sama kan? Yang 3 Scrap Invention. Tapi harus naik ke 4 sih. Wait. Harus nyimpen nyawa dulu. Kayaknya ada yang ngambil Dead Jazz Baby. Jadi itemnya Izul kayaknya gua taruh di Urgot dulu sih. Udah aktif ya. Ada yang reseal juga nggak sih? Kayaknya nggak ada, jadi aman harusnya. Lumayan dapat duit ya guys ya. Incer level 9 sih kalau bisa. Tung tak. Udah aman gini sih. Apa ini gambler blade? Biar urgotnya berattack speed ya. Ngambil ini sih kalau bisa luck seharusnya. Kalau nggak bisa paling ngambil senanya atau enggak si tarik. Tinggal sisa yang mana sih, tariknya diambil, sisa sena sama lux. Oh berarti aku bisa ngambil lux, bikin infinity edge dulu ya. Urgot mana ada AS. Iya gimana lagi, belum ada yang cocok itemnya. Bisa kok pesugihan, dorong dapatnya dikit-dikit sih. Nanti dulu nunggu unitnya aja ya. Belum ada unitnya. Kalau mau sih ya Samira bisa sih. Tapi maksudnya kalau ini kan ada monsternya gitu loh. Apa kita ganti Samira aja? Tunjukkan kehebatanmu Urgot, menembak-nembak sakit. Bisa ngitipin country dulu sih. Wah, itemnya mantap kali. Ada Sena nih. Ada Apelios ya. Mending Kisante apa Apelios? Mending Kisante apa Apelios, guys? Tapi kita belum ada Kisantenya ya. Udah santai aja dah. Bisa milih gitu. Mantap gak sih? Sifat resisten. Ini dulu. Dialisa. Oke, udah mulai kalah ya. Ya ada panggilan biasa. Biasa. Bisa sih sekali lagi. Lawan the chest baby. Kasih duit lagi dong. Senanya nggak mau ngasih duit lagi aja. Pelit amat Sena, bisa beli Miss Fortune. Ya ampun. Itemnya nggak ada masalahnya. Dah. Lewat BTW Discord udah atau pindah server baru? Enggak, masih sama Discord. Tidak ada perubahan. Kamera gimana ini? Sini. Jangan dimakan loh. Oh iya, batu EDM-nya belum deh. Belum aku pasang. Tidak. Ngomong apa? Ngomong apa? Bilang apa? Iya, terus? Oh, terus? Oh, gitu. Kalahnya sama Sena 3 ya. Padahal aku ngepur anjir sambil gendong bocil ya. Masih menang ya guys ya. Kayaknya kalau nggak gendong bocil sih juara 1 sih ya. Apa yang harus kulakukan ke master dan udah mau naik malah ketemu orang grief? Jangan main hardstyle sih kalau mau, kecuali kalau dapat dari awal gitu, naturally dapat ya. Halo malam Kohan. Kayaknya aku nonton dulu deh guys, sambil nonton aja lah, emailnya sambil nunggu bocil tidur. Belum sepenuhnya tidur
success to
masalahnya.
really, I think, win that tiebreaker with Og.
Kita liatin meta luar ya.
Different spatulas as well, where spatulas and emblems are much harder to come by compared to set 9. It really does give a lot of agency to a player, especially those that know all the different possibilities that the armor gives you in stage 4 and 5 especially.
Yeah, and also worth noting that he has a bow on the bench, so he has blue buff plus Nash's Tooth already locked in if he wants to go towards that R line you were talking about.
Ijira menurutku
Carousel
sekarang
coming through,
diperkuat
Urgots
depannya
could be
sih
there for the
harusnya.
submit to the pit player for Chinar. We don't really see
Untuk
any Hearthstone
sekarang
units
ya.
outside the Aphelios himself, so the more valuable 3-cost Hearthstone units are not available in the stage 2 carousel, which really helps, of course, find that early Heartsteel,
Tadi
get it
tuh
online
kurang
for
zip
2-5.
dulunya aja
And I
sih.
talked about throughout this entire tournament, that 2-5 breakpoint is so important for
Item
Hearthsteel because it
depannya
allows those perfect 8 rounds to come through before you get to the 4-2 roll down.
Yeah, and Topman here getting a bell as final option. You have Tia being left open here. Tian picking up that bow, which could be a red buff slammed already as well. So pretty clear direction from him coming through now.
Sedih
If he
mas
does
ketemu
go for that
Master
red buff
Alpenal
slam.
main semaunya.
Nope. Okay,
Malasnya
Tian.
emang kayak gitu sih.
Never mind. There we go.
Oh.
I'm smart, David. I'm smart.
Pausing for
Oh,
dramatic effect,
itemnya
we,
di
as we all know, you have to do
si Yasuonya
in any kind of
itemnya
showmanship. And
red buff.
Tian
Paling cuma
is,
buat
I think, one of those players that
candalan
wants
doang
to
sih.
really make a mark, considering he is from South Africa, one of the only players representing South Africa in our circuit, and thankfully has made it to day 3. A player that I think you are very familiar with. He was a beast
Sekarang itu
earlier
loh,
on in our
Yasuo
circuit, has not been popping up as
naik
much
lagi.
in the past few sets, but is now here to maybe make a mark in this set 10.
Yeah, it's a player that
Tuh yang
I
si
speak to
siapa?
pretty much every single day as well. Part of like a bigger practice setup.
Cafe tinggal satu lagi
stakes on the
malah
line as well. Snoopler sometimes.
baru satu biji
Again, like,
lagi.
so people that person I've ever
Yasuo
and also
3 true damage di
back all the way
berapa
back in set
harusnya?
3, you kind of alluded
Kalau
to.
sebelum
He
stake
finished,
3
I
sih
believe,
berarti mantap banget
14th
itu.
overall
Yasuonya
in
kalau
the
udah bisa
EMEA finals
bintang
there.
3.
Didn't just barely missing out on the final lobby, right? So a
Wah
player who
beneran guys, langsung
with a
dapet
lot
dong.
of competitive
Yang
history.
aku
And
bilang
since
loh,
a
baru aja
is
kita
not one of those
rasain
players
ya.
with a lot of history, but
Langsung
he does
dapet
have a
dia.
Yasuo free and 2-6 with 24 gold to go.
Gimana ceritanya?
Pharmacist as well, so you are able to forego the Omnivamp item. He's just
Ketawa dia
smirking
tuh,
at
senyum-senyum
camera. I
dia.
think he knows we're on his board. He has some kind of sixth sense because he is just
anjir,
laughing,
anjir.
knowing that he's hit this much earlier than predicted. 3-1 is already a great spot to be in, but at this point in time, can definitely run away with this lobby. And it will be a true damage version of Yasuo. I think both versions are pickable
Sebelum
and
stake
clickable.
3 ya, udah
Usually
bintang
Edgelords
3.
gives you a bit of a stronger stage 3,
Yasuo
but
sih
with this
harusnya
early Yasuo 3 with a chance to
lumayan.
pump up
Tinggal
levels, I
jaga
think
nyawa
that
aja
really
sih.
won't matter too much for
Lu bisa
SEMUANYA.
nyari win streak sih.
Yeah, because the thing is that when you get that true damage headliner into play, right, you're going to be able to
Belum
start
kuat
pushing
soalnya
towards
itemnya
your
juga
levels.
jelek.
You're going to be able to start adding stuff like a
Yasuo-nya
Kali
guys.
into the mix. Because opposite is even going towards a Cassetta
Udah mau
backline. You
serang
have
Titan
so
sih.
many powerful units, Kiana being the big kicker as well. And the fact you're able to maintain your economy
Kemungkinan
gives you
bisa
such a
dibikinin
higher
Diana
chance of
Slayer
finding
harusnya.
that Kiana further down the road.
That being said, you do really need just an infinite amount of BF swords for this Yasuo to do work. Ideally, you do not want Sterak's as a final item. That's just for now to get some benefit from Superfan being on this board right now. So gonna have to hope for at least one BF sword coming out of these Krugs. That will really be the difference maker. If you're suddenly dropped a whole lot of rods and tears, that could kind of really spell a bit of a fiasco for what is this Yasuo real, despite having hit so early.
Yeah, because you kind of saw that he did take a loss to Shinar, right, who, granted, is in a pretty good spot, or a very strong player at this time as well, with that Morello on the Urgot, but Yasuo free is not an automatic win condition, and Yasuo as a unit is kind of depending on getting those kills into scale, so you really need to get a lot of those kills at early stage 3 to really help you, like, you not fall off towards the later stage of the game.
tiga
That's a lot of
biji
chains,
aja.
David. It's
Chain
not-
mail-nya.
Also, if the tank
itu
would be
jadi.
great, but there finally we do
Iya,
have
misalnya
one
ya,
BF
kalau
from
nggak
Miku. We'll see if he
bikin
wants to
apa?
slam the
Ion ya.
Edge of Night, if he wants to slam the GS potentially.
Antara jalan-jalan kalau
Has
nggak
a lot of
Ion.
chains to work with, so he's going to have to really index into, I think, a main tank alongside that
Dia mau
Yasuo
main
to really make the
punk.
best use of those components.
Dapat itu juga sih.
An interesting
preference
spot
juga
here from
bagus.
Clicking as well, right? Looking to want something that look like an executioner reroll
Preference apa
centered
sih itu namanya?
around the Vex. And
Yang
interesting thing to note
guardian
about this
seret
setup is
itu.
that generally you tend to run punk. So if you can find like an early punk
dia
headliner
nggak
here
diambil.
like this Jinx, you are kind of able to kind of
Oh, dia
pump
kalau
those
main
punk rerolls. And if you wanted to, you can see that that has not been the
Bukan
case with
main
Clicking
Jinx,
so
kalau misal
far,
Jinxnya di sini nggak
because you
diambil ya.
are going to be getting those
Kalau
benefits of the
kalau dia
stats
ngincer
further down the
menang
road.
baru ngambil.
And really the big benefit comes from being level
Itu
5,
bisa
level
jadi
6, where
sih.
you have a much higher chance of finding the real units you want, Vex, Twitch, Samira, etc., Mumu, of course, in with those punk rolls. So we probably will be seeing him using the punk rolls starting from level 5 and until the very end, until level 7 potentially. But a win comes through here for Glicon,
iya.
staying
Dia
healthy.
ngincer
Gobo,
menang,
though, dropping
baru
down to
ngambil.
64 HP
Tapi masih
to the first 6 rounds of this game. 2 was
sisa
jungler,
banyak.
who we saw in the last game, in
Butuh
game 1,
6 lagi.
following a similar game plan of losing a ton of HP early, going to level 8, playing around these flexible boards with tons of very high value 4 cost and 5 cost, and then winning out.
Yeah, and both of these players are getting rewarded to a certain extent,
Okay,
taking those
keduanya
losses, right?
goal.
Gobo with the extra
Aku
XP from
pengen
the
lihat
patient
si
study, Wedjung with the extra
Messi
stats
itu
from the vampirism.
Cave lagi sih.
Gold augment to follow up here.
Jadinya dia bikin item
Stage
apa
3-2,
gitu
heavy
yang-
hitters, best friends, martyr, options
yang
for
ke
tournament.
3.
We're seeing for tournament, he has a superfan KDA set up online right now. See what this ends up evolving into. And yeah, interesting augments or items being committed there, the Rage Blade and the BT. There's the
Yeah.
executioner headline for our Turkish player. Already has a very good start for what this board wants to look like.
Yeah, right. And the
berarti
fact
nyari
you're able to
effects
kind
dia.
of hit that 20 gold mark without
Oh,
really any
Tentera,
difficulties
guys.
is going to be big, but it is worth noting that he's still
Tentera
on
kan itu
Pantheon
ya,
1, he's still on
Tentera.
Mumu 1, so while the Vex 2 and the Twitch here is a huge spike, it is also
Tentera,
worth
ya.
noting that he has no frontline to buy time for that Vex is to become super impactful.
Vexnya 3
And
biji.
don't be fooled, this is
And
not
Tentera apa lagi?
twin tear or triplet tear. This is
Kayak
just, you
best
have
friend.
Vexes, they do a lot of good things in stage 3, just playing on your board. It will be best friends though, at the very least, so executioners have a buddy they can count on when it comes to dealing damage, trying to kill off
Okay,
units, trying to stay relatively healthy for the much bigger roll down we'll be seeing at 4-1 when you are level 7.
Yeah, you can kind of see just like how impactful this CC stacking is, right? Volta's units did not get to play TFT this fight, like at all. And that's just kind of the nature of the clumping when you play something like the disco here, but more importantly, that breaks Volta's 100 win streak so
makanya
far,
lintas
so that's going to give him that means he's going to take a little bit of a hit to his economy all throughout this
Kayaknya
stage
sebentar.
3.
Nanti
Or it seems he
dibuatnya
did want to
nanti
make
bisa
use
dikeluarin
of those
ya.
bows, has slammed the red buff and the Edge of Night onto this Yasuo in the end. We'll see what the last item ends up becoming. The chains, not slammed for now, despite could just become a Bramble. Although Bramble has not really been the most high prio item, tank item even, throughout the entirety of set 10.
No, and especially because of the fact you have something like a gargoyle right now.
Gimana,
It's
Kak,
like executors, right, super powerful.
Sudah
just like
master?
Silver Front and the Amumu. And also, I think more importantly, the Steadfast Heart is such a powerful tank item that going for a Bramble most of the time seems to not necessarily have a lot of effect, because you also don't have a ton of like 80 compositions or pure 80 compositions in the metagame right now. You're looking at this right now, you're looking at the Akalu, not the Akalu, the Katarina.
Enak banget tuh Yasuo-nya anjir, ngedes-ngedesnya.
For this Yasuo, most likely the most important stage of this game for Yasuo and for Asinti. It's so important to get as many stacks as possible onto Yasuo, so he's actually a relevant carry in stage 4 and 5 and just fall over or get stuck on the enemy front line for all those fights. So
Tapi
it's
jadi
really about
malas main
stacking
TFT
now to
semenjak
then be
longsor.
stronger, or strong enough rather, to compete with other boards in stage 5.
Longsor berapa emang sekarang? Sekarang udah berapa Demon 4?
I don't believe we have any Riven players, as we just like get the great overview, so we can kind of get a view of like what's going on. But for someone like Clicking, for example, a cheeky spat could be something like an emo emblem or Pong emblem, depending on like how.
Mau ngambil
and
itu ya,
where
tapi
this
nggak
game
dapet
takes
ya.
you.
Bagus itu harusnya. Bisa
Looking
bikin.
at Tournament, looks like he is going
kalau
to be
dia make
somewhat locked
emblem.
in to that pentakill board for now. Has a Kale and the Mordekaiser. Tion is sitting on just a mismatch for now with Heartsteel online. I think the only Heartsteel player it looks like.
Master
in this
kemarin
squad,
malam,
so
tapi besok
a player
paginya
definitely
demo
watch out
lagi
for.
waktu
Has
login.
preserved a lot of HP up until now. Can potentially get these huge cast outs and have so much more HP to sacrifice
Wih mantap,
for
udah naik
those
lagi
cast
Demon
outs in
3.
stage
Mainnya
4
santai-santai
especially.
aja.
Yeah, but you can already see
Pas
right now he's not
feeling
necessarily
bisa menang baru
he's
dimainin
not
ya.
necessarily sacking a lot, and the thing is that something like Urgot 2 during this stage is an unkillable menace with that Marsher in the mix. On top of that, it's just such a powerful setup. Doesn't have true damage for this, and I don't think he minds too much. Again, he's just going to be killing units. He's going to get a little bit of extra gold coming through from that Haas to just help him elevate himself in towards the level 8.
Ini mau main apa nih? Heartsteel harus.
As a tier
Dari
open for blue buff
itemnya
as
ya.
well is up against this Yasuo. We'll see if the Yasuo can do enough, can actually take down this Urgot before being damaged and taken down
Lihat
himself. We
Yasuo-nya
talked about it, it's so important to get as many kills as possible
sangat
onto this Yasuo
mengerikan.
in this stage. It looks like it's looking pretty good here for
Sangat
Yasuo.
mengerikan
The Edge of
sekali
Night proc,
Yasuo-nya,
which is
Bung.
actually a good thing here, able to take down the damage
Dengan
players in the back
Hermesis
line
juga.
before trying to chew through what is one of
Dibabat
the
semua
tankier
aja.
states or units in Urgot, who seems to do everything so well. But the win does come through for a T. And Tian finally getting a little bit of those arch steal cash outs.
Yeah, and just like again, we can see looking at the streaks all
Real
across
apa nih?
here,
Golden
Shards,
Cup.
win streak getting torn to
Tapi yang
pieces
IME ya.
as well.
Jadi
So,
beda-beda
no,
namanya.
turbo
Kalau
win
di
streaks on
IME
those
namanya Golden
boosted
Cup.
streaks like a
Kalau yang
6
di
win
NA
streak, for example,
namanya
you have
Heartsteel.
Wet Jungler who sacrificed
Kalau
HP
Heartsteel
for
Cup
the steal,
pagi.
9 lost streak, so he's getting an extra goal from being at a 6+ streak. Plus that
Oh, ganti lagi dia.
cash out, you can see Tian kind of just like changing his board
Ganti ke
around here, finds
pentakill.
that Gnar headliner
Sementara
with the
sih.
pentakill instead.
Soalnya
Alex is better. If it's
levelnya
better,
jelek
I think
dia,
Gnar
baru
is one of the best
level
TG
6 ya,
holders in the
dengan
game,
duit
especially just as a
38.
transition unit in this stage 3. He does a very good job at cleaning up units where Senna has more AoE damage, where she has damage on many units, but doesn't actually guarantee kills, whereas Gnar, we're going to see it now, jumps in, hits you a few times in the head, and you're out.
As I was talking about and alluding to here, Twickenham has gone for that emo emblem here. Goes for the Twitch right now, which is the
Udah dapat kartu
And
segala.
you know
Ini
you're selling the Twitch later, right? You're not going to keep this Twitch headliner as a de facto unit.
Urgot
Urgot
bisa menang
We've
Urgotnya.
seen the power of emo fresh right, and with that heroic presence on top as well. To keep in mind that when you get to like that level 8 board and the board is established, you are not running twin towers you were talking about earlier, Dave. You don't have to give up board space
Damage-nya
for
dapet.
those other units. You're gonna be able to like to produce a fully fledged board.
Dia
You
ngerolnya
find
0
a
ya padahal.
Zed on level
Tapi duitnya
6
masih
naturally in
dikit.
your shop, and you can't help but start headbanging a little bit, nodding in confirmation that you're in a good spot. Tian, very happy to see the Zed already. The key next transition from that Urgot and all those items, or at least the Edge of Night, will be going after the Zed later on. For Gobo
ini
here, one off of
Katarina
the
nih, kurang
Katarina,
satu lagi nih
perfect
Katarinanya nih.
items as well. Wait for the super pen to come
Satu biji ya.
online. Do you think this is going to actually work out? Do you think Katarina can actually pop off in this lobby?
It depends on whether this is going to be crowd diver or country, right? Because a
Roll
lot of
nih,
people
roll
are actively
deep.
skipping the country variant of the
Harus
Katarina.
dapat Katarinanya.
Really love it. I mean,
Udah.
things like I was looking at some of the stats. The stats actually aren't that bad for him. But meanwhile, we see
Vexnya juga
a
ada 3.
free stop Vex on 6 being hit here as well. So Gobo, you assume he's a little bit ahead of the curve, but he does have the KD and it comes now. He's such
Tinggal
a big
nyari
boost
super
for
fan.
the Katarina to be able to give her that additional power to power attack. It has the idealism as well. It has a lot of
Super
those
fan-nya
really
hidup nggak sih tadi?
powerful.
Those Zed, though, so
It worked.
unfortunate with these items, having to slam on to this unit. You have a remover, so it's going to be a clean transition later on, but
Super
I
fan-nya
think
belum
really
gitu.
the roll down,
Kurang
you would
kan?
have loved to
Kan,
have a
sebenarnya
very
belum
lucky
masuk,
natural Zed like we saw Tian
Nggak
pick
bisa
up,
dong.
because it makes this so much stronger. You had that dual carry setup, which was Proud Divers,
Tapi
is so important.
iya anjir mantap.
And that's a big win as well.
Langsung hilang anjir.
One of the strongest players in the lobby right now they have to face there. Maybe outside Togman, who has been making great use of this too healthy now. Again,
Alright,
it's
Wet
not.
Jungler. It's time.
I love him. But this is his comfort zone, right? He knows the ins and outs of every single thing here. And again, look at the conviction in terms of how he picks his augments here. Knows what he kind of wants to go towards and just ends up picking something he believes to be good here because he knows he needs the time to go for this roll down.
If you are a Hearthstone enjoyer, I think one of the most important skills right now on this patch is being able to, as you mentioned, pick up that 4-2 augment as quickly as possible. No stat checking, just intuition to have infinite time to actually roll down and find the units you need. Is this Zac going to be good enough? You still have not found an Ezreal. You still have not found a Zed. Well, just found it now in the shop actually alongside the Zac. So that could be the last minute option here. The Zed comes online. You have the Edge of Night. You want to have an item holder for these Ezreal items in the process though.
Yeah, this kind of comes down to like what is actually going to be the ratio. I like the fact he's going to be playing a little bit for the Yorick now. Can he obviously
udah
make that
Wejang
switch
udah
at some point if he
level
wants to do that, which already does here. And just puts the
8 ya.
items onto the
Awalnya
second
318 bisa comeback dah tuh.
should be stable for now. Sack
Yang
2 is no
18
joke.
guys.
And
Here is
Chinar taking a
Andy,
page out of Baby Iguana's book, hopefully with better results, has the Jax as the main star of the show. It's going to look like with the submit to the pick game plan. Still not Jax 3, still not really, I think, equaling the pace of other reroll players in this lobby, like the Katarina player who already hit, like the Vex player who already hit as well. And in the end, it seems like the deciding factor in terms of winning or losing this fight.
Dia tetap pakai vampirism sama Hermesis ya.
Facing a board like Shinar's that's kind of in between two stools, not necessarily having found their
Jungler mukanya muka Indo aja.
A very important win here to kind of ensure that he doesn't fall too far behind the pace when someone like Gobo, for example, makes us like.
Iya dapat Israelnya.
Ezreal has been found. We'll see if it'll be just the open tier onto the Ezreal and then
Si
last item onto Zed. But
dapat
Volta
Israel
also has the Ezreal in a much more stable spot when it comes to HP, when it comes to economy, and gonna now try and go fast 9 with just this board. We'll see if it'll be enough. A lot of frontline and Ezreal as the sole damage dealer.
Yeah, but he does have that Zephyr, right? So as long as he's willing to actively position around, trying to
Lawan
delay
Vex
some of the
juga.
damage output from some of these other compositions, this should give time for the Ezreal to get into the fight, get rid of some of those bigger frontliners before getting rid of those backliners.
Crown Guarded as well. 3 different Crown Guard items have been built, so trying to make
apakah
the
Vex yang
most
menang?
of his
Oh, nggak
second
bisa
augment
ya.
pickup in this game, buying enough time for the Ezreal
Rata,
to do
anjir.
things, and we'll see there, facing off against, as you mentioned, one of the strongest players in this stage 4, the Executioner player who has hit so much of his board already.
Dua-dua begitu tuh
Yeah, I
rawan
believe also the total
kena
stats here,
skillmu
Tottenham lost now
Israel ya.
5 win streak, you can see right there. So all these streaks are just not being allowed to be kept right now. You see like this lobby just trading blows back and forward here, just kind of tells the story of how these different spikes are landing at different times in the lobby at the moment.
Tier so important for what jungler finds the blue buff onto his Ezreal, gonna help him hope and try to stay alive because the HP totals are very different in this game too, Wido. We're seeing
Tarteman main apa itu? Tarteman, oh main
against the
itu
CT
kill
also
ya,
now at
kill
40,
hero
but
ya.
then a pretty big gap between that
Kill
bot 4
hero,
and that top 4 with Tarteman
Israel,
and Volta sitting around
Signer
70
main
HP
Lux,
still.
Lux
Yeah,
Jax
that's the big thing
hero.
I'm gonna keep an eye out for here because when they get more stable,
Si Bejangles
when
dapat
Jungler becomes
Israel
stable
itu
at this
guys,
very
manual
moment,
ya.
but the thing is here as well, David, he could have potentially had a blue buff on the
Iya
Zephyr,
tapi
but
nggak
opted
ada
against
Zednya
that.
nih.
Do you think that was a bit of an like a bit of a mishap on the side of Wet Jungler here?
It could have been a deciding
Kurang
factor between winning or losing the
Zek
last
sih.
fight. I assume he waited to slam the items, the final item
Gawat
on either
banget
side or
tapi
Ezreal,
nyamanya
depending
tinggal
on who was
18.
facing, what the positioning looked like on those boards. So
Apakah
if he
bisa,
won
guys?
that round because of it, A-okay. And
Apakah
Blue Buff,
bisa?
surprisingly, I think is
Apakah
still a very good
bisa?
item on Zed because he gets that first cast off so
Dia bingung
quickly.
sih ini,
Yeah,
sumpah.
did the Ezreal come from the carousel or did I?
Dan
No, it was a
melawan
MF with a tier.
Israelnya. Israel
Because he
runner.
could have made the blue buff on the Ezreal on the bench and made the pickup, and then moved something like the GS. But again, he can't guarantee the item, right? So something like the red buff pops off, then there's a disaster moment, right? Because you need the red buff on the Ezreal instead of
Oh,
having it
tapi
on the
masih bisa
side.
menang.
Seemingly good enough though to win this fight against the other Heartsteel player against Volta in this lobby, and we'll see now if a jungler can mount another comeback.
Kalau nggak salah kalau
Very
dikasih
similar game
blue
plan,
buff itu
went
juga
very
langsung
low in
masuk
HP,
skill.
and then just started
Nggak
rising
sih
up
jetnya.
in those totals across stage 5 and 6, especially as
Dari
he continued to
belakang
get that
langsung bisa
rejuice
nge-skill.
from Heartsteel throughout both of those
Dari
stages.
pas awal.
Chinar though, maybe he's in trouble. He's still not hitting his Jax 3. We're in stage
Jax-nya
5
belum
almost.
dapet,
Wida.
guys.
Is
Kasian
it too
banget.
late now even for Chinar to hit? I mean, he is very healthy though, 62 HP.
Yeah, like, I
Pakainya
want to say, you can say that he's a little bit too, I don't
injection
think it is, right? He
dikurung.
has a puppy pair as well, but again, look at his augments here. He's too healthy, he's submitted to the pit, and he's cybernetic bull. He has so many combat stats that the second of this Jax free rolls around, again, he's not getting baited, he's not state level 6, say, I'm going to roll for Jack and roll Jack, no, stay 6. No, he's also found a very early and very lucky, very fortunate,
Ya, dia harus
allowing him to
ketemu
just add
Zed.
more beefs to the
Kalau
board.
enggak bisa gawat.
Facing
Nah,
up
kita lihat
against the Yasuo.
Yasuo-nya
We'll see
gimana.
what Asindia has been able to do. Double Sterax and Edge of Night.
Menggunakan
Yasuo
dua
has
itu
popped
ya,
off the red
Sterax
buff
ya.
with the super fan little trick you can do in the, I assume, the last PvE round. Could have maybe do it again to hit off one of these Sterax.
Healingnya
coming into
ngandelin
stage
dari
5,
Hermesis.
but Yasuo for now seems to be doing just enough with a board that has not been fully
mantap
upgraded
banget
just yet
anjir.
from Chinar, so maybe not the best test of
Cuy,
strength.
mantap banget ya semuanya.
But a win
Yeah.
for Asinti and Chinar. The Turkish showdown there not going in his favor.
Yeah, and a bit of an issue here was the fact that the Jax was instantly focused down by the Yasuo. So when Jax went into the backline, right, he was just like absolutely annihilated. And again, Jax 3 probably wins the fight, at least kills more of the backliners, right, that the Jax kind of was struggling to deal with in the first place there.
Volta looking for level 9 as early as possible, sitting at 60 gold, looks like, and trying to rush it before anyone else makes it to that point in time. Hardiman still level 7, still has not found Mordekaiser 3, understandably so. Mordekaiser, one of the most contested units in the game when it comes to how well he fits into Pentacle boards, into
Si
reroll boards like this
Tarteman
one,
belum
into
dapat
melee,
ini, belum dapat
reroll
kill
boards like
3.
Riven and Yone. He's just one of the most sought after units in the game right now.
Yeah,
Cuma
guys,
level
grab your
7.
point on Volta. This is 2 games in a row where we have
Oh,
seen him
kill kurang
be in
3
spots where he
lagi.
had the ability to and aim to kind of get to a specific point before the rest of the lobby does to have more time to kind of make his transitions work.
Oh,
Return
so
man.
awkward. No
Bingung
stone
nih.
plate for the Amumu. Could potentially have, yeah, you have already the or the red buff, rather the anti-heal onto the Twitch, so
bikin apa sih
Guard Breaker
namanya
seems like the
itemnya?
only
Lupa
possible
aku.
option from those item components there.
Yeah, the Twitch hasn't been solid. You kind of
Cuman
alluding
kalau
to,
yang
right?
ada
He's going to be able to he's going to be able to
armornya
go
semakin
forward with the
sakit.
backlash and make full use of those punk rolls that he has been building up all throughout the game. since
Bisa
the start of,
menang
like,
melawan
stage 3,
Katarina,
but
kayaknya nggak
you
bisa
gotta see
sih.
the power
Katarina
when the set gets into
idealism
the
soalnya.
backline here that it is very, very difficult with that scaling damage in a crowd diver and a Katarina to kind of hold on when you don't have that stone plate.
And the Omnivamp on Katarina that can really heal past the burst damage from that Vex. Tian takes a loss here as well. A lot of our Heartsteel players really have to stop the bleeding at this point in time.
Wah,
Stage 5, these
Vijay
losses get
selamat
bigger
ya,
and bigger.
masih
And we'll see if
lanjut,
it's Ezreal
tapi
way that
si
Shojin will actually
Yasuo
able to do enough.
tiganya
The Jack 3 has been found by
merosot,
Chinar.
guys.
Urgot 3 on the way.
Namanya
Still probably 1 though. We're
17.
stage 5, Wida.
We are, and that's a big thing here. But again, he was
Killnya
stuck
kurang
in level 7
satu
for a
biji
while,
lagi
so we're
langsung
talking about
dapet
struggling to
tuh.
hit here, and Topman has been kind of the same deal, but
Bisa
he
gitu dong,
finds
langsung
that
dapet, guys.
kill free. Now, one of that Mordecai.
Pakainya 4 sentinel ya.
Game. It is such a difficult
Harusnya dia
use
ke
to
8
restart because it goes in a ton
5
of builds.
pentakill.
For Tian now, we'll see if the Shojin Ezreal can do enough. He's facing off against the recently upgraded
Si Tian
board.
ini juga berdoa
On the
nih.
opposite side, the
Dia
Mordecai going to
langsung
tank so
ketemu
much. If
kill
the
reroll
Ezreal
ya.
ult hits the kill and kills her off in time before she can skill those
Bisa
Rage Blades,
menang.
could be the difference maker,
Killnya
but
nggak kena
misses, whiffs on the
selepetannya
left side of that
Israel,
kill in
masih
the end.
selamat.
And maybe that buys just enough time
Kalau
for Kill
masih
to do her
selamat sih
thing.
bisa
The
menang
anti-heal being so relevant here as well with the
si
Morello onto the
killnya.
kill. The Ezreal misses again, but it's really just down to the kill and
Tuh kan,
the Echo.
langsung menggila
Oh,
killnya.
surely not. What a frustrating fight on
Tapi belum
Tian's
mati sih si
side.
Tian harusnya.
Everything went in just the opposite direction of what he wanted.
Yeah, and it's kind of been like what has been happening here for a couple of the last 2 fights we've been
Waduh,
watching.
Nasor.
And also, you can kind of see his reaction to that
Tentunya
catch as
Nasor
well.
aja.
Not
Ya.
exactly what he would have wanted here. An absolution
Oh,
can
masih
be a bit
bisa
of a
sekali
solution,
lagi
I
sih dia.
suppose, but
Aduh,
not
udah
necessarily
dapet Jack
best thing here. So
2.
he was hoping for gold,
Dia
he was
butuh
hoping
Jack
for
2 aja.
duplicators. Right? Looking at the bench, he's sitting on Poppy pair, sitting on Sack pair. Like he would have liked to have some sort of injection to shore off his board. He did not need more items.
Nasar bagus itu, tapi buat siapa
For the
belum nggak ada
complexion
itunya.
of this lobby, Wida, there are
Istilahnya
5
juga
hero
udah
players
kepakein
and
semua.
3-4 cost flex players, but they're all playing Heartsteel. So many different comps that are not being played at all. Ahri untouched and just not really a viable game plan, it seems like, for most of these openers. The Ezreal once again trying to do his best. The battle of the Ezreal, rather, the civil war here.
Israel
Again,
ya,
Tian's
Tian
Ezreal
kalah
is
sih.
not the best at focus firing the units he needs to.
Oh,
Misses
menang.
the
Oh.
opponent's Ezreal,
Oh.
but it should
Oh,
still
masih
be enough.
menang
Looks like
ternyata,
the
guys.
Absolution, as you mentioned, doing so
Masih
much at
terselamatkan
helping
ya.
the Zac survive for as long as possible with the CC coming in as well.
Yeah, also
Jungler,
just like that
datang
AoE damage
Jungler
reduction,
kalah.
right? It's such a big thing here in a matchup like at Ezreal. Okay, that's solution
Oh,
power
belum ada
potentially
yang menang ternyata, masih menang
being
dia,
picked up there as
Jungler,
well.
guys.
The league already has an even trust, so that's not necessarily the item that you would like to find. So I guess you want to find an actual proper item here. The Walmarts being on one cost is kind of awkward
Radiant
as well.
different,
You
ya.
would have liked to have that potentially be another front
Yang tadi tuh Absolution juga bagus, soalnya nge-healnya
one of the
luas
most slept
banget.
on item combinations in the game here. It seems like that was his option.
Tinggal
And
ceknya
it seems
diduain
looking
sih
at
itu
the
kayaknya
HP
menurutku
total, the
bisa.
Yasuo reroll player not
bisa
doing
selamat
so
habisnya.
hot. I think he just did not have the right components coming off of Krugs. Couldn't really snowball the Yasuo as much as he would have liked. Had just a red buff on him for most of the game. And is now sitting at 6 HP. Obviously, a place where a single loss will knock you out and will kind of erase the great result you got in game 1 if you get an 8th in this game too.
Lah, kenapa dijual?
Yeah, that's kind of one of the interesting things, right? Because it kind of just like eliminates like any momentum that you built at the
Wah,
start,
itu
especially in
begini.
such a small field that has
Iya,
to
nggak
with
kuat
32
sih.
players. Like
Kalinya
all of a
masih
sudden you go
satu
from like
masalahnya.
lobby 1 all the way down to like
Nggak
lobby
kuat
3,
nggak sih,
just like in
guys.
the blink of an eye. So something gotta keep in mind here. This is not
Super
necessarily
fan-nya
the same
ditinggal
level
ya,
of security as you have on
dibuang.
day 1 and day 2.
Side switch to
Wah,
the left.
ketemunya
Can
ini
this
langsung.
Yasuo jump onto the right unit at the start of this fight? Can he wrap
Tian
onto the
ketemu Resti
Katarina as quickly
lagi.
as possible? The
Sekarang
Echo stun will be pretty big
ketemu
here, but the
jungler
QSS
ya.
is on the Yasuo, so he will be
Israel
avoiding most of the CC coming in, and
headliner.
Yasuo now starting to clean up. One hitting pretty much everything
Tinggal
along the way. Can
kalau
he outlast
dua-duanya
this
bisa
Katarina
pulang
damage?
sih.
I think the
Tinggal
answer
yang
is gonna
menang
be no,
siapa
as
sih?
CT taken down in 8.
Jungler ya.
Unfortunately, needs to try and regain his
Yang
mental.
menang,
Tian as
si
well, we're
Tian
seeing
pulang.
there. Not happy with this result.
Dan
Will
si
be a
SNT Cave,
7 potentially for Tian.
juga pulang tuh
Yeah,
orang
I think that he does, and that's not going to be the end of the world, right? It puts you, I believe it puts Tian at, that puts him at 10 points, right?
Si Volta
it's
juga
definitely
nyawanya
not
tinggal
ideal,
3.
but essentially it's the same thing as going fourth twice, right? I think that's a different way of looking at it.
Dapat blue buff.
To not get tilted, right? Again, just realize the fact that, okay, I could have gone 1-1, it's not the end of the world. The
Mordenya
maximum amount of points a
3.
player can have if the game 1 is 16, so only quote-unquote 6 points behind
gemoy.
the top player
3
at the
juga
end
ya.
of game number 1 is something you gotta keep in mind, because again, with the way that the scoring in TFT works, it is very easy for you to kind of make up that gap.
And Volta with a forbidden tech, 2 Jin 1s on
Mantap
his
tuh,
board, not
kali
able to
lawan
buy
Blitz
any
keren.
other unit, of course. Not
Si
exactly
Volta
the board
tapi
you want to
Zeknya
assemble,
mantap
but
banget
you are level
nyawanya
9,
anjir.
you are at 3 HP, and you could be in big trouble. You're
Lawan
facing
Jax
up
ya.
against Chinar, who has not hit Urgot 3 just yet. Maybe that buys enough time for Volta to survive this one. The Jins are coming through, but the Jax is still alive. The Omnivamp so big onto that Hodge. The cast from the edge roll comes through, and it looks like it's just enough. Volta will be surviving for at least one more fight.
Si Volta
Double down to
masih
3
selamat.
HP. White Jungler on 9. This lobby getting so close, Wida.
Yeah, these
The
hostile
Jungler kalah,
players here
guys.
really
Habis
like
kalah,
not
the
having
Jungler.
the greatest of
Yang
times
tinggal
at this moment
9.
in time, right? Both with Tian in 7th,
Gak tau tadi
Volta
kalahnya sama
currently in
siapa.
6th, and also like Red Jungler.
Si Gobes
At
Tower
the
tinggal ke
elimination stage,
9
again,
sih.
think back to the start of the game.
Harusnya
Volta was
Jinnya
just living
bikinnya
life,
9
but he
dia.
was just like, okay, I'm gonna go 9, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm
Nyari
full on tempo, and now
Kiana
he is facing a
buat
potential
6 Crow
bot
Diver.
4 placement in this
Sama kalau bisa
game
nyari
event.
Jet 2 sih.
Gobo as well. His board looks strong. His augments look great. Idealism. You have 4 Hodges built. You have your Katarina 3. She's Crowd Diver. You have your Zed as well. You are missing Kiana and the 6 Crowd Diver Spike, which I think is what we're missing in terms of why we're losing so much HP in stage 5. But we're coming into stage 6. We need to roll. We need to find one specific 5 cost as well as that Zed upgrade. He has not too much more gold to work with. Can he actually find it in time?
Tidak dapat Kiananya. Oh, dapat tuh.
Oh,
there it is.
it is on the
Nggak
last
dipakai
roll,
sih.
just as all good players do.
With the exact amount of gold as well to be able to pick it up. So
dipakai deh.
we'll be able to
Betul,
just move some
dilepasin
items
ya.
around here. Knows that the Evelyn 2 is obviously going to be much worse than the Kiana 1. Just move those items over. And there we go. This should be a strong board because up against Shinar, right? And he has this very powerful Jax as well that can just kind of end up mixing, goes directly onto that Katarina. But the healing you're talking about.
The Echo Stun was so big, stunned so many of these frontline monsters that are all circling around the Echo there.
Just
And
yang
that is
menang
enough.
sih.
The
Gobes
Jax gets
Tower
bursted
gede
down.
banget ini.
Most of the
Kayaknya untuk
damage
menang
onto
sih.
that comp from Chinar. Chinar's still healthy enough though to take a hit and still be at a comfortable
Siapa yang
19
akan pulang?
HP. Not so much the case for other
Wait,
players
Jungler
like
atau
Volta,
Volta?
who looks like he's taking a loss here. It will be a bot 4 for Volta. Could not make Heartsteel work as well as he did in game 1.
And that's a huge for Wet Jungler as well, because that's one of the players that had the option potentially to have enough power to kind of outscale him, outcap him for the rest of the game, right? So he's now the lone survivor of the early Heartsteel onslaught, it seems like.
Jax reroll currently top of the standings. We have the Executioner second place. Jax is the kind of the new one to come in. Of course, Jax did get buffed recently. Submit to the pit. Also got the change that makes it a much more viable augment, it looks like. But the Kiana here, I think, is going to be very interesting. The last minute switch, foregoing the KDA hex positioning, trying to bamboozle his opponent.
He's trying to get away from this set here, most importantly, right? That's such a big thing as well, because, yes, you're talking about this, but again, the set has such high burst, he's able to almost contest and get out, kill this Katarina, right? So, I think this is good here. This allowed the scaling and the fight to come on naturally, and I think it's kind of a big thing here as well, just kind of show the heads-up play of some of the top players in the world.
And the Echo really being the MVP for Gobo. So many key stuns on these melee units makes it so Gobo does end up surviving that fight. Big win for him. Top 4 as well. Wet Jungler, who did so well in that game number 1. We saw both Volta and Wet Jungler, they first and second last game. Now a bot 4. So much more balanced scores for them coming into game 3.
Yeah, and again, I love the fact that Gobo here with the heads-up play, right, says, you know what, sometimes people feel like they're linked to their KDA pattern. It's free KDA, it's not like a 7 or a 10 KDA, right? So the immediate power gain is actually not necessarily worth it, like sacking your matchup completely for.
Turkey and France repping the top 4 here. 2 players from each of our countries with some unique comps coming into the limelight for this game. 2, the Jax. We'll see now what he can do up against this Gragas 3. A very unique board from Tardaman, making use of 2 healthy and adding in units that are not usually added to the Pentakill comp, like the Gragas, like the Sentinels overall with a 4 Sentinel trait spike there, and buying so much time for the kill to ramp up this rage that we're seeing it here. No monster is getting even close to the kill. She can just dish out damage completely untouched in that back line, and it should and would be enough here to get the big win that they're looking for. Chinar, unfortunately, gonna get 4th place.
Yeah, and that's obviously rough from a singular unit here making the difference. And now we have Gunakan versus Totman again. And Gunakan, a player that, if I recall correctly, when I've been looking at stuff here, has been at very, very high, as I was talking about, above 2K on the Turkish ladder. So not a player we see a lot of on the EU West ladder, but again, very, very, very exciting performances from him here as well. And what a way for him to start day number 1 here, potentially at worst at 15 points.
Tardaman not taking his foot off the gas, was an absolute beast in day 2, topped the leaderboard, got that spot in the winner interview at the end of the day, and now coming into this day 3, the first 2 games at the very least, following that same exact trend, being one of the most dominant players his entire set on ladder, and now transferring that same results to tournament. Gonna be the last fights of this game too. Tardaman 12 HP, Clickhorn at 14 HP, the Vex and the Twitch all on the left side trying to burst down the Mordekaiser, but this Mordekaiser, BT, Crown Guard, Steadfast Heart, gonna still buy so much time at 3-star, especially the 2 healthy, adding so much HP. Look at all these ults. He's able to tank, he's still rocking out, still very much alive, and you blink, next thing you know, the entirety rest of the board has been taken down, and the Kale cleans up just enough, but Clickhorn survives on 1 HP, Wida.
Yeah, but at this point, I don't think there's anything you can do, like, in terms of positioning here. And Annie 2 is not going to be a difference maker between getting past that Mordekaiser or not, right? And again,
don't disrespect Danny. Come on, she's trying her best, we know.
But again, we saw this last game as well, right? The Mordekaiser headliner just takes this composition to a completely different level. Yeah, and again, makes great use of the extra stats from something like the 2 health he was pointing out. And even in the mid game, just playing like 1 or 2 extra units here gets you so safely through that you're able to just, like, completely overpower your opponents here, and a great adaptation coming through from Totman.
We'll see if the burst will be there. A bit of a different strategy this time around, trying to test and see if something else can change in the results of this positioning. Vex and Twitch now on the right-hand side, very far away from the Kale. Do a much better job of breaking through part of that front line, but the Gragas, the Redemption, the AoE healing coming through here as well. The Mordekaiser still rocking out, and the Kale slowly ramping up those Rage Blades, 2 Rage Blades to be precise, with the Best Friends attack speed buff as well. The Mordekaiser is not dying just yet. One last cast comes through. Clickhorn knows he did his absolute best, but not enough to defeat Tardaman, who is on a crazy hot streak to start off this day 3 as well, Wida.
Yeah, it's also worth noting, right, that you can kind of see how the matchup tends to go here. Like, it's very difficult to win this as a front-to-back for the executions, but if you have any items on that Carthus, for example, by the time that 3rd, 4th cast rolled around there, he would have been able to kind of take out that Kel in the back, and then all left with the Mordekaiser. So, very close fight, just lacking a final few components to fully turn it into a win.
Go down to a break and see how our analysts are going to break down this very reroll centric lobby in game number 2. 5 players on reroll, the rest all are hardsteel. Really curious to see what the analysis looks like, but I'm sure you guys are as well. So do not go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes.